to Veterans Stadium for the Upper Deck Heroes of Baseball game. The 1983 Philadelphia Phillies against the 1983 Heroes of Baseball. Here's a look at some of those who will be performing for you this evening. The 1983 Philadelphia Phillies, led by the skipper Paul Owens. Pitching staff of Bystrom, Christensen, Denny, Hernandez, Holland, McGraw, Reed, Ozzie, Virgil will do the catching. The infield of DeJesus, Garcia, Matuzik, Schmidt, Perez, White Lightning, Bob Dernier, Greg Gross, Von Hayes, Joe LaFay, Sixto Lezcano, Gary Maddox, and Gary Matthews. For the Heroes of Baseball, they're led by Billy Gardner. Their pitchers include Steve Rogers, Tippy Martinez, our own Kent Colvey, and Rich Dotson. Catching Butch Weiniger, Steve Yeager. The Mad Dog Bill Madlock, Larry Boa in a Phillies uniform, but functioning for the opposition with Al Oliver, Rich Dower, Jay Johnstone, Dan Ford, and George Hendrick. That's the roster for the Heroes. The crowd, which will be a huge one by the end of the evening, filing in early on, and the biggest noise thus far, save for the stickman, number 9, Von Hayes, who got a mixture of cheers and boos. Marty Bystrom, Larry Christensen, Ivan DeJesus, the Cy Young Award winner John Denny. There's Al Holland going on by, Bob Dernier, Kiko Garcia, Greg Gross, and the stickman Von Hayes. We'll go down to Chris Wheeler for a sense of the atmosphere in that always fun Phillies dugout. Chris.
Okay, Larry. Well, it is a lot of fun down here before the game. You know, getting a chance to see a lot of the guys we hadn't seen for a long time. And I think the one thing that jumped out at us when we talked to Paul Owens about it was how good a shape a lot of these guys are in. Of course, they're not, you know, it's not like they're like 55 or 60 years old. They've been out of the game a long time or something. But a lot of them really have maintained pretty good shape. And the 83 team was a strange team. It was a group of a lot of veteran players more than young players that just kind of found their way in the month of September and went on and won that division title that year, and then went to the World Series after beating the Dodgers. And they were a good bunch to be around because they knew how to play the game, and they just put it together at the time when they had to. So it's really fun to see them here again tonight, and talking to a lot of them, Larry, they're really looking forward to getting back into uniform and get out there and play a little bit. They think that should be a good time.
Nice tribute to the Greyhound.
Yeah, well, you know, he was a pretty good player before he was a broadcaster. Not too bad. We don't want to butter him up too much, though, do we?
Yeah. Nice to see Darren Dalton and Larry Anderson, who, of course, have a ball game to play, take some time and come out and visit. Andy was a veteran on that club, already 30 years of age. Dutch had just come up as a fleet-footed, skinny, 165-pound catcher. And there's the MVP. There's the two current Phillies. Remember that wide-eyed kid, Darren Dalton, when he came up, Wheels?
Yeah, well, he was. Now, I'll tell you something about him. Darren, even when he was a young player, Larry, when I first met him, he had something about him, though. He had an air of confidence to him. You know, some might call it cocky. You know, he always, let me put it this way, he always walked with his shoulders back and his chest out, even when he was around a lot of veteran players. Darren was a guy, there was no doubt in his mind he was going to be a good Major League Baseball player someday, and of course the injuries really set him back for a number of years, and now he's reached those goals that he thought he would do. But he was a guy who was respectful to all the Hall of Famers that were on that ball club, but he was never a guy that was intimidated by other players. He always he knew his place, but he knew how to act around them, and I think the older players liked him right away.
Now, do they come out and show Dutch the respect of an NL RBI leader and a champion, or is he still the kid?
Well, that's a good question. You know what I think? I think the way I've watched him with Darren tonight is he's still the good guy. You know, Darren's always been kind of a man's man. You know, that he's always projected that air about him as a tough guy and a guy that you wanted as a teammate, and a guy that you like being around because he's such a good person just to be around. So I get the feeling from the players tonight that you know, they're not surprised that he's a star, and I think they're happy for him.
He's got a nice shot at Tony Perez, who had that tremendous month of April back in 1983. And of course, there's you don't get baseball people, Chris, to agree unilaterally on a situation, but I guess the way Doggy was treated in Cincinnati has been a rallying point for almost everybody in the world of baseball.
Yeah, maybe we can get him over here later tonight, and you know, I don't want to beat on him about it, but you know, see if he'd like to talk about it a little bit. You know, it's tough to know Tony Perez, Larry, and not feel that he got a raw deal in that situation. And, you know, that was wrong with what happened in that organization with Tony Perez, and I think most people in baseball feel that way. I know any of us who've been lucky enough to know him all these years definitely feel that way.
Wheels, 10 years ago tonight, you were broadcasting for a club that was 2 games under 500, 3.5 games out, and we'll go to the standings. But first, there you see 10 years ago tonight, St. Louis was on top. Eventually, the Phils would battle the Pirates down the line before clinching the championship September the 28th. Now the crowd rises as one, and it could only be a tribute to one man. The greatest third baseman in baseball history, the best player in the history of the franchise.
You know, Mike's down here in the dugout telling Danny Baker to hurry up. He's blushing. You know how he is. He doesn't like this kind of stuff. He just wants to get out there. Here he comes.
Here he is. Save the best for last, Michael Jack. He's part of the reason they don't call these old-timers games anymore. This is the Heroes of Baseball. And Upper Deck's been doing this now for about 6 years. There's another Heroes game underway tonight in Colorado as we check out Michael Jack. And every city but 2 will hold Upper Deck Heroes of Baseball games. And the money, each game will generate $10,000 or a total of $2.6 million. Which will go to the baseball alumni team, the baseball assistance team formed in '86, because the commissioner and a number of former players felt that there was a need to address the needs of former baseball people who are indeed on financial difficulties or hard times. And $2.6 million will be generated by these games around the country. So a terrific cause. And ladies and gentlemen, here are the 1983 Philadelphia Phillies.
I think this has a chance to be a pretty good, we won't call it old-timers game, as you said, Larry, Upper Deck Heroes game tonight, because, as you mentioned, a lot of these guys are still in good shape, and, you know, they're going to be able to do a few things that you don't see in some of these other games. You know, Mike Schmidt and Ivan De Jesus out there, Kiko Garcia. These guys can move around a little bit. Ozzie Virgil behind the plate. I mean, some of these guys aren't 40 years old yet, so they should be able to play pretty well. The game's going to be led off by Larry Bowa batting off John Denny, and well, maybe he'll knock him down just to get things started. Who knows? You never knew what John Denny was going to do anyway.
Defensively, Schmidt is at third. De Jesus is at shortstop. Garcia at short. Cincinnati sportscaster Len Matuzik at first base. What a great outfield. Gary Matthews, the Sarge, will be in left. Gary Maddox patrolling the familiar AstroTurf from center field, and the great gun of Sixto Lescano in right. Ozzie Virgil, 2-time All-Star Ozzie, behind home plate. There's Ozzie, just 2.5 seasons out of Major League Baseball, retired with Toronto. And John Denny, what a season that was for John Denny. I remember 2 things specifically about the way he pitched. One of the best curveballs you've ever seen that year, and one of the best pickoff moves for a right-hander in baseball. And those 2 elements with a good fastball and a fiery temperament led him to a Cy Young Award in 1983. A 19-game winner.
He had, in that season that you're talking about with John Denny, he had a tremendous sinking fastball, and that's what he would use. And then he had that great overhand curveball. He was basically a 2-pitch pitcher, and as you said, a great competitor. And his temperament was one you didn't want to cross him, that's for sure.
In 1983, that guy, Larry Bowa, had been just traded with Ryan Sandberg to the Cubs. Phillies third base coach Larry Bowa. He went over in '82, so in '83 he was still the Cubs' regular shortstop. And pulls one at Schmidt, and it eats him up. It's going to go past Matthews. And you know, Shear's turn on them in a hurry.
I think that took a hop off the cutout. It looked like the same cutouts that he used to complain about all the time here, that they didn't put enough dirt in them, and they would take bad hops on him. I think he just got one.
Look at that face on Bowa. Here it is, Wheels.
Did it take a bad hop?
It got in the dirt. Yeah, it came up on Schmidt.
Yeah, it did. You could see from our angle down here, it took a bad hop on it.
Going to call that a double all the way. Bring up Rich Dower, member of the Baltimore Orioles.
Dower was with that club that played the Phillies in the World Series in '83.
Middle infielder, spent 10 years with Baltimore. Had a great series in '79. Didn't get to do much against the Phils in '83. That's right at Lezcano. Remember the gun on him, Chris?
Oh, yeah. The Phillies had two of the best arms in baseball in that team. Larry in Sixto Lezcano, and of course Joe LaFay had a tremendous arm also. Both of them were guys who could play right field and throw with anybody in the league at that time.
You remember the formula back in '83. The Phillies dipped into the farm system and were able to add a couple of key veterans by trading prospects. Really the formula for the late '70s and early '80s, and that's how Sixto became a member of the club.
There's a guy who played for the Phillies briefly at the end of his career, and one of the best hitters you ever saw was Al Oliver.
Al Oliver, longtime Pirate. They're taking pitches out there, Wheels.
But JD's throwing those sinkers and they're not chasing them. He's throwing the ball pretty well too.
To Matuzik. He'll go it alone. And Boa will take third. Hasn't even got there yet. Wants to stop and give a little lip to Schmitty.
Schmitty with the same mannerism. You know, you're looking at him down there in between pitches. He's over there picking up dirt. You know, he goes near the bag, talks to the runner, picks up a little dirt, throws it away. Guys, they always keep those mannerisms, even when they're on defense, the way he is out there tonight.
Well, Larry Anderson's just gone out to the mound, the pitching coach for this game, and has made a change. Didn't like something he saw on what Denny gave to Al Oliver. And in comes Larry Christensen.
Well, I think the problem is they realize LC probably only has one hitter in him before he blows out, so they just want to get it over with fast.
Larry Christensen had such severe elbow difficulties. I remember the press conference right after his retirement. Remember that he came out with a fake arm?
Yeah.
And he threw a pitch and the arm came flying in with him.
Yeah, he did that one of these games here.
Scared everybody.
I get a special guest down here with me right now. JD, John Denny, great to see you again. It looked like you still were throwing that sinker ball out there. Or was it gravity?
I think it was gravity. Did I leave my arm out there? I'm not sure. Go check it, see if it's out there.
What are you up to now? What are you doing with yourself?
Well, I'm eventual, Wheeler. Whatever comes along, I do. Just the event of the day.
You have good memories from that '83 ball club. You had such an outstanding season.
Well, you know, a lot of great things. You know, personally, it was a great year, but you know, as a team, my accomplishments were only as good as what they were, and I had a lot of great plays. And I think one of the really neat things was to be able to play with some of the Hall of Famers that I've played with. I mean, it's just wonderful, and being in the World Series, not too many guys get to do that, and I'm glad that I was able to do it.
They gave you 2/3 of an inning. I mean, what do they have you out of there already for?
Oh man, I don't know. Larry Anderson, he's only used to 2/3 of an inning. He can't go any further, so that's the reason why he took me out.
We thought maybe Christensen only had one batter in him.
Oh, that could be true too. But Larry, remember how? You know, the thing I remember about Larry is in that '80 World Series, and he threw that pitch to Brett right up there, and you know what? That broke their backs, and he could throw hard. Great pitcher.
Well, it's great to see you again. Thanks for coming back and spending a little time with us, JD. It's good to see you.
Philly was my favorite place. It's good to be here. Good to see you.
Okay, Larry, back to you. It's John Denny.
All right, Wheels, we want to keep Johnny there. We've got one of his great moments of 1983. Nice block, Ozzie Virgil. But back in 1983, there's John Denny. That the look that we were so accustomed to, and the fiery eyes, the sinking fastball, and JD getting another complete game victory, one of his 19 wins in 1983 en route to a Cy Young Award. There he is now. The event of the day. Meantime, Dan Ford has worked a full count off Christensen. Takes ball 4. Going to go for ball 5. Straight up. And will reach the seats. Dan Ford wearing a Phillies uniform. But he was a Minnesota Twin and California Angel before joining the Orioles. Once traded for Doug DeCinces, and that'll find some open space. Sarge cannot cut it off. Yes, he can. Takes about 10 strides. That'll be a ringing double to the gap as Larry Boa crosses home plate. A double for Dan Ford.
2/3 of one of the greatest outfields in history. If you throw Bobby Bonds out there with Matthews and Maddox when they were all together with the Giants, boy, they were really something. They used to cut the ball off in the alley a little better than that.
A little bit. And here's George Hendrick, who on this date in 1983 was leading the National League in hitting at 351.
Called him Silent George back in those days because he would not talk to the media.
Tell you a story. One of my first days, I was hired on PRISM in August of ¡83, and one of my first attempted interviews was with George Hendricks. He just looked at me like I was crazy.
Yeah, like, don't you know my rep, man?
You don't know that? I'm like, it's my second week. Still has those pants all the way down, though, doesn't he, Chris?
Yeah, he was
Still
one of the guys that do that, and other guys started wearing them like him after. This guy could really hit. He didn't take much of a stride, as you see there, and he still doesn't.
Well, we've got a half inning in the book. Larry Christensen has survived. The '83 Phillies will come to bat when we come back to Veterans Stadium in just a moment. Got his first major league victory. It came against the Pittsburgh Pirates in a blowout. Ozzie Virgil hit a home run, knocked in 4. Phillies won it 14-2 to move within 1 game of the 500 mark. So it's not where you are in the middle of June. It's where you are the first week of October. There's Jay Johnstone playing right field for the Heroes. He'll be on with us a little bit later. I'm sorry, he's in left field. He used to play right field in this stadium. Yeah, that's what we think, Jay. And here's Ivan DeJesus. He's always a good high ball hitter. And DeJesus, who hit .254 for the pennant-winning Phillies in '83, has a leadoff base hit, which will bring up Bob Dernier. Also a notorious first ball fastball hitter. Bobby D's only 36 and has been out of Major League Baseball since 1989 when he was let go by the Phils. Had 2 different tours of duty in Philadelphia. That's in the dirt as well. One of the reasons the Phillies were able to clinch was the red-hot September work of Al Holland, Mr. T, who became one of the top closers in baseball. Again, a competitor with a terrific fire in his eyes. Loved to be in the ball game to clinch it, as he did there to win the National League Championship. The hug for Schmidt, that part of Phillies lore. Al Holland standing by with Chris Wheeler down in the Phillies dugout.
Okay, Larry, thanks a lot. I am down here with Al Holland. I remember they used to call you, Claude used to call you Bullet. You used to like throw those fastballs. Was that a lot of fun, Al, when you go out there and close and throw as hard as you used to?
Oh, yes, man. It was the feeling was that I believed no one was going to hit me. And I'm going to throw my best pitch, and I dared you to hit it. And I just felt that confident that I could do that.
You still look at some of these closers that go out there and throw hard and think, man, that used to be me?
That's right. That's right. I watch a lot of guys. I turn on a ball game now, Chris, and I turn it off and then come back in about the 6th or 7th inning because that's when it gets exciting, especially if it's a close ball game. And when the closer comes in, I watch him closely, watch his mentality, his approach. I mean, just saying and just visualize how I used to do it and watching these guys, it hasn't changed much.
Can you tell just by looking at a guy when he's closing a game whether he can do that or not?
Oh, yeah, you can tell because he got that little smirky grin on his face and he got all the confidence in the world. And if he's in a good groove and, he's throwing the ball well, it's not going to be much problems. A closer is just what he is. He's a closer.
That 1983 season, was it a magical year here?
No, I don't think it was so much magical, man. We had a bunch of guys that could play baseball. They were proven winners and they were veterans, and it was just a matter of putting it together and going out there doing it. What we did is being called the Wheeze kids, the fact that we were 35 and older. I thought it was, it wasn't magical, but I thought it was phenomenal that we played as well as we did and won.
Big cheer right now for this guy at home plate. What kind of teammate was Mike Schmidt?
I called him Herbie, and I really enjoyed playing with Mike. Mike was so easygoing, so relaxed, and he had that quiet leadership that a lot of players didn't have. His leadership, did he get it? Oh, Lord. Oh, he almost got it. His leadership is that of what he did on the field, and you can't match that.
Well, you also pitched against him. What was it like to face him?
Well, I had all the confidence in the world that he wasn't going to hit me. You know, as a matter of fact, Smitty was one of the first hitters I faced when I got to the major leagues when I was in Pittsburgh. And Smitty, Luzinski, and Maddox, and you know, I struck those guys out. They didn't know me, and after I did, man, I was ready, man. I was ready for the major leagues then, because I mean, Smitty was the ultimate hitter at that time.
Well, it's great to see you again. I know you're going to get out there and pitch in a little while. Have fun, all right, Al?
I don't know how much pitching I'm going to do, but I'm going to go out there.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too, Chris.
Al Holland, Larry.
Great job, Chris. Boa camped under that one. Smitty sac fly to center field. Plates Bob Dernier and ties the game at 1. We are through one full inning. The 83 Heroes and the Upper Deck Heroes. As Michael Jack just got under that one. He'll be back in the film room with Video Dan analyzing his swing. But he's gotten it tied at 1. And looks like Marty Bystrup is going to come out and pitch here in the top of the second. Marty probably best known in Philadelphia for the work he did in September of 1980. A late season call-up, went 5-0 in the month of September, wound up starting Game 5 of the LCS and in the World Series. Did not get a decision, but the Phillies won both those games. Wound up really with some injury problems and only got 29 wins out of his major league career. But boy, could he throw when he first came up. Can't help but get the tingles in this press box, looking out over the club that last represented the Phillies in postseason. I believe the leadoff hitter against Marty Bystrup is going to be our own Jay Johnstone. We check out the dugout. Number of Phillies participating. And there's the Jaybird of Happiness, who I don't think he knows what city he was playing in '83. Actually, it was a Chicago Cub in '83, part of his 20-year big league career. 307 career hitter in 4 different seasons with the Phillies. 8 different teams. Couldn't hold a job. Facing Marty Bystrup. Jay was raking in batting practice. He plays a lot of these. Ozzie flashing signs. He'll get a fastball. It's up and away. I wonder if Jay realizes just how shallow Dernier is playing him in center field. Pulls it foul. Kind of looks like a softball short fielder. Yeah, Jay, got the bee stings going. Jay switches bats with Bill Madlock. And if he gets a ball between Dernier and Lescano in right center field, see if he can make it all the way around. Throws his bat at him. That's traditional. Garcia on the move. Puts it away. Well, the September sensation that was the Phillies would have not been had it not been for the April that Tony Perez gave them to really get them off to a terrific start. Tony, en route to the Hall of Fame, had one of the best months of his long and storied career in April of '83, really carrying the Phillies. And now Tony back in the Phillies uniform visiting with Chris Wheeler.
All right, Larry, thanks a lot with Tony Perez down here. You played on so many great teams, so many championship teams. What was that '83 team like here in Philadelphia for you?
Well, it was fun. I mean, it was a great year for us. You know, I got back with Pete and Morgan. You know, we reunited again, and really we had fun. I started this season. I held the Phillies at the beginning, and really we had a lot of fun. And then we got to the World Series, and a great year.
You're talking about helping the Phillies. I mean, you had a great April. You remember that April you had that year?
Yes, I had a great April, and you know, I keep the Phillies out there. And then in September we got hot and win the division. That was fun.
You know, we're all really sorry about what happened with you at Cincinnati, because you're such a great person and a class guy. And what are you doing right now?
Well, right now I just enjoy myself. You know, I'm off now. I went back west and see my boy play Eduardo, and you know, he's in the coach league, and really, I just enjoy myself right now.
Tony, I know there's never been any bitterness in you, but do you look back on what happened this year and feel pretty sorry about it?
Well, I feel sorry because I live in the Cincinnati Reds organization, I've been tied for so many years. It's not easy, but when the thing happens, they do the thing the way they want to do it, and that happens. And right now, I'm trying to put everything behind it.
You want to get back into baseball?
Oh yeah, I want to stay in baseball and doing something, on the field, off the field, or whatever. But I would like to stay on the field and do some can't help the young.
A lot of us think you should be in the Hall of Fame. Do you ever think about that when that voting comes up?
Well, I think every year when I come up now and see if I can get any vote to get in it, it's going to be one of my best days.
Doggy, thanks a lot. It's great to see you again. I'm sorry you're here under these circumstances, but good to have you back in Philadelphia.
Oh, I'm still having fun. I'm glad to be here, Chris.
Okay. Thank you. Tony Perez, Larry.
Great job, Wheels. Thank you. Butch Weininger batting. Bill Matlock, the 4-time batting champion, double to the cap, dancing off second base. Bystrom bringing it. There's Matlock. Not the mad dog anymore, kind of the well-fed dog right now. And that is a bolt. Lescano on the run. Wheels, Tony's son, Eduardo, out in the Pacific Coast League, is one of the top prospects in baseball. So Tony's going to have some watching to do as his son tries to match his feet. Here's the pitching coach, Larry Anderson, out. Bystrom's going to get the quick hook. And here comes Ron Reed, who was the setup man for Al Holland. Look at his career. It was a long and storied one, mostly a starter in his early days with Atlanta, spent 9 years with the Braves, and then over the last 9 years of his career only started 9 times. And he's a Notre Damer who played in the NBA as a member of the Detroit Pistons. And the night that Hank Aaron hit home run number 715, he was the pitcher for the Atlanta Braves. Did he have a terrific sinker? Here's Steve Yeager, longtime catcher with the Dodgers. That looks like it's going to be fair and roll to the corner. Matlock around third. He will score. It kind of looks like slow-mo as Yeager rolls in with a double. Completes the tour and knocks over Ozzie Virgil at home plate. Nice rip, Yeager. And back to the top of the lineup we go with Larry Boa. And he thought that Reed was going to knock him down. There you go. Oh, wants to charge the mound. And that still young, good-looking Larry Christensen now about to visit with Chris Wheeler. Wheels?
Okay, Larry, down here with Larry Christensen. Larry Rosen just said still young, good-looking Larry Christensen. Congratulations on the new baby and on your marriage.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's a great life and a beautiful wife and a beautiful baby, and it's nothing like it. It's really something. So we've had a really nice time.
Would you go a third tonight?
Just a third. I was hoping for the rain to come, but it didn't work. Worked out pretty good. But it was fun. I just it's not easy anymore. To try to throw all the injuries and the arthritis and the problems, but I made it.
You happy to come back and see this bunch, this 83 club?
It's always fun. I gave up, I guess, a lot of different things this weekend. Definitely, this was #1 priority because it's always this. You get one chance to see them, and you see them quite a bit, but together in a reunion type thing, and plus always the Phillies organization is the best, and just to come here is always a privilege.
Elsie, you're one of the guys who stayed around the area. What are you doing?
I work with a firm called Hamilton & Company out of Princeton, New Jersey, and New York. We monitor the investment activity of large pools of assets, be it a pension fund, high net worth individuals, corporations, that type of thing. We don't manage money, but we monitor the people that do. And I'm the managing director of marketing and sales and consulting, client servicing, that type of thing. But I've been at it about 6 years and have really worked hard, and it's a new career, and I want to be successful at something else because the game was tough enough, but I feel that I could walk away and went through the transition, and now I'm very involved in what I'm doing now.
Can you straighten your arm after all you went through?
No, it still bounces around a little bit here, but it worked well enough.
Is that ugly? Good to see you. Thanks for coming over, Elsie.
Thanks, Will.
He's proud of that, isn't he?
Is that ugly or
that
what?
is despicable.
Oh my God.
My goodness, he won his first major league game at the age of 19, and he turns 40 this November. Remember what a hitter he was? 11 career home runs. And here's Ozzie Virgil, who last suited up in the major leagues for Toronto back in 1990. Earned a couple of all-star berths. That's a bolt for a base hit in front of Johnstone as Ozzie levels off. And we've got that two-sports star. Wheels, back in the day when Ron Reed was a two-sports star, they didn't make that big of a deal about it. All of a sudden, it's national news.
Yeah, that's right, Larry. We're just talking about back in those days when you were a two-sport star. Wasn't a big deal. Now, a guy plays two sports, they put him in the Hall of Fame.
I know, and it's unreal. They can, if they play two sports, they can just take a week or two off and say, I quit, until the team brings him out $11 million. Then they bring him back and he plays. It's gotten kind of out of hand, but it's nice to see that there still are a few two-sport athletes around.
I know you're about a one right now. What else are you doing besides playing golf?
Raising two teenage daughters is a full-time job these days. Now, I just play a lot of golf, got a few things going in Atlanta, nothing serious, and spend a lot of time with my family that I missed when I was traveling all those years with.
You in good health right now?
Yeah, I really am. Things worked out well. I was very lucky that the thing that happened a few years back, it's all healed, and I'm back to normal, and it's worked out really well for me. Thank you.
Now, you, of course, were part of the 80 championship team, that great World Series team here, part of this 83 club. What do you remember about 83?
You know, somebody asked me in the clubhouse what my best memories were of 83. I remember a darn thing about 83. Who wants to remember a year you lose the World Series? I remember a lot about 80, but 83, and then they reminded me I was 9-1 in 1983, and I said, that shows you how poorly I pitched as a reliever. Relief pitchers aren't supposed to win 9 games. That means I let in a lot of tying runs, and then they scored. Our team, of course, scored while I was a pitcher of record. So I remember I did not throw the ball as well as I had prior years with the Phillies, but it doesn't matter as long as the team gets in the World Series, and that was the highlight really of the year.
You know, you were a starter pitcher for a long time, of course, in the league. Then they turned you into a reliever, and the relief pitching's so important nowadays. Did you like that part when you were a reliever for those last few years?
Not really. Wheels, remember, I'm an old man. And back when I came up, when they put a starting pitcher in the bullpen, the next step was out the back door. I mean, they gave you the pink slip and said goodbye. And no, I fought it. And Danny Ozark, I remember, he called me after the trade was made, said, Ron, we're happy to have you. Give us 250 innings as a starter. And I was all excited about pitching with the Phillies. You know, young players like Schmidt, Lazinski, Boa coming up. And I'm thinking, we got to, you know, this is going to be a good team to pitch for. Then in spring training, he tells me I'm a relief pitcher. And I pouted, just like everybody else does. I pouted. I didn't want to be a reliever. Then I found out how valuable I could be as a reliever if I came in and did my job, and not through any of my ability, but the good Lord gave me one of those arms I could bounce back and throw 3, 4, 5 days in a row if I had to. And then I realized, hey, that's where I want to be, and I loved it. I really did.
Well, it's great to see you again. Give our best to Julie, and we'll see you in Atlanta as always.
Thanks, Wheels. Good seeing you.
Okay, Larry, that's Ron Reed. Phillies players used to call him Slink and Bigfoot.
Slink turned 50 last November. Here's a guy that did this a few times in this ballpark. Boa, Robin Gross with a short hop stop. Plant got the double play. Dower turns it over. And we are 2-1 through 2 complete in the Upper Deck Heroes. If you ever get out to the ballpark real early, you'll see Larry Boa still likes to take ground balls with Joe Millette, Nicky Morandini, Mariano Duncan. And he probably has the best hands of the bunch, even at his advanced age. Now pitching and slapping his knee and pounding his chest, Tug McGraw. Tugger was with the Phils from 75 through 84, with the Miracle Mets in 69. This guy used to put ERAs in the 1.7s year after year after year. He got here just in time to be part of 4 league championship series with the screwball. You can still see the break on it. Not too many straight screwball pitchers anymore. And as we reminisce 10 years ago today, Rod Carew was leading all of baseball with a .409 batting average, and Dale Murphy en route to back-to-back MVP seasons. 19 home runs, 58 RBIs. 10 years ago, the pitching leaders in baseball were Dave Dravecki, Dave Stieb, and Steve Carlton, who wound up 15 and 16 on the '83 Philadelphia Phillies, and with 275 strikeouts. We've got a pop-out foul to first base, where Von Hayes camped under it. One out, top of the third. Try to keep a modicum of sincerity, Michael Jack. Having a good time down at third. That's a base hit right field for the man that has the most base hits of any non-member of the Hall of Fame. Al Oliver, 2,743 lifetime hits, not including that one. And he was a Philly only in '84. In '83, he was hitting 300 plus with the Montreal Expos. You know, in '82, at the age of 36, that man won a batting title at .331. And he still has the sweet swing. Here's Dan Ford. Remember, the Phillies and the Florida Marlins, Terry Mulholland and Jack Armstrong will follow the Upper Deck Heroes game. That game will start right on time. We'll have the Phillies pregame report live from upstairs here at Veterans Stadium as soon as this one's completed. And Ford working him over. They hit those home runs, but they're still letting him wear the uniform. Chases some high heat. Tuggs screaming at him. Still chasing the high stuff. Screwball popped him up. Hayes will take charge. Terrific piece by Mark Cram in the Daily News a couple of days ago about Vaughn, who was released and says he's yet to retire. He won't use the word retire until I guess somebody makes him. Still looking for a job in Major League Baseball. Big curveballs inside to George Hendricks. Silent George. Popped them straight up as well. Garcia showing his range. Gigi wants no part of it. And that'll put him away. And there was a young man in the midst of all those Hall of Famers that came up and had a sensational late season for the Philadelphia Phillies. Put Hall of Famer Pete Rose on the bench for much of September of 1983. Now a sportscaster in Cincinnati, Len Matusik, visiting with Chris Wheeler. Chris?
Okay, Larry, thank you very much. Here with Lenny Matusik, who's now in the business. And they're just talking about what a great month of September you had with the Phillies, and put Pete Rose on the bench a little bit that September. You remember it well?
Well, Chris, it saved my career, let's face it. I mean, I had spent most of 7 years in the minor leagues, at least, you know, the last couple I was bouncing up and down. But had I not been brought up then, and the big thing was getting the chance. I mean, having Paul Owens putting the name Matusik in that lineup at first base, that was the first time that the people here in Philadelphia had seen that. I had only played a handful of games at third for Schmitty in '82, didn't fare very well. All I really wanted to do was get the opportunity to play, but with Pete here, it was awful difficult. But yes, September of '83, very happy memories for me.
So I said you're in the business. What are you doing?
Well, I'm working for the NBC affiliate in Cincinnati, WLWT. Been doing reporting, anchoring for about 3.5 years now, enjoying it quite a bit. I think enjoying it for the most part because it's been able to keep me not only close to baseball but to all sports. You know, my kids are now old and they're involved in sports, and it's real nice to be able to be a part of the Cincinnati scene. And you know, Cincinnati's no different than Philadelphia. It's a huge sports town in its own right.
Well, it's great to have you back in Philadelphia, Lenny. Thanks for coming over, and I hope you're having a good time tonight.
Wheels, I'm having a great time, except, as I told you, I've got to go back home now and tell my kids I've popped up to shortstop. They were expecting Dad to hit a home run, but it didn't happen tonight.
Maybe they'll get through the lineup and get you up there again.
Okay. All right, Wheels.
Thanks, Lenny. Len Matusik.
Thanks, Wheels. One out, bottom of the third. as Tony Perez pops to that man, Larry Boa. That is Tippy Martinez facing Bob Dernier, who also has long thought he was a power hitter, flies out the Jaybird. And Tippy Martinez going through the lineup. You know, Tippy now owns the concession inside New Memorial Stadium. So he's stayed connected with baseball that way. And that man with those 2,700 plus career hits, Al Oliver, standing by with Chris Wheeler. Wheels?
Okay, Larry, thanks. Here with Al Oliver. But when you think about hitting in the 70s, I think you have to be one of the guys that is the first person people would think of. Did you just really like to swing the bat out? Because it looked like when you got off the home plate, you couldn't wait.
No question about it. I think our whole team was that way. But that's something that I always had ever since I was in the Little League. I was a very confident young man, and I always felt that my chances of hitting the baseball was very good against any pitcher. The key with me was always trying to find a hole. But hitting was something that always came easy for me, and I felt very fortunate to have played 18 years in the big league. But more importantly, you know, I was able to stay healthy, and that was the key, and play with some great players and some outstanding teams.
You talk about great players. I mean, those Pirate teams you played with in the 70s, you used to call them the Lumber Company. That had to be a lot of fun for you.
It was fun because we all thought the same way. You know, we felt that once we took the field that our chance of winning was always good. And of course, you know, playing center field and Stargell playing left and Roberto will come in right, you know, I tell people today on the banquet circuit, just in case people have not heard of Al Oliver, I tell those people that I'm the guy who's responsible for those guys being in the Hall of Fame today. But those guys, playing with those guys as a center fielder made my job as a center fielder so much easier because they were outstanding players and just as well as people.
2,700 hits you had somewhere in that area. Did you find it hard to finally quit? Did you want to keep on playing?
Well, I would like to have continued to play, of course, and I was ready to play. You know, I still could run, and my bat was still quick, but Collusion 1 came along at the end of 1985, and that killed all my chances, of course, of getting 3,000 hits, something that I was en route to do. And, of course, getting 3,000 hits would have probably almost automatically put me in the Hall of Fame. But as a result of that, it's not going to happen. But when I look back at my career, I feel real good about it because all the years I played, every at-bat, every play, I never loafed. So I don't look back.
I got to ask you this. I mean, you played here very briefly. You were here for just a little while. You played here a lot with the Pirates. Did you like to hit in this ballpark? Because it seemed like it.
This was a good hitting ballpark, although I never hit a lot of home runs. And that was due to the Phillies pitching staff. They always pitched me away. And when they did throw me inside, it was off the plate. So, but as far as doubles and things like that, yes, this was a real good ballpark to hit in. The atmosphere was always great here because you saw in around 1975 and 76 when the Phillies were coming on as a team in the National League East that they were battling us all the way. And it was always great to come to Philadelphia.
Great to see you again, and one of the best hitters I've ever seen. It was always fun to watch you play, Al.
Well, thank you very much. I enjoyed playing, too. Thank you.
Okay, back to you, Larry.
Thanks. He was 39 years old at the end of that 85 season and about 250 hits shy and never got the chance for 3,000. Here's Mr. T, Al Holland. One of the great trades, at least to solidify a pennant. Brought him to Philadelphia for Mike Krukow and Mark Davis, who 10 years later is back. Facing Rich Dotson, who was a 22-game winner in 1983. Must be happy to get a piece of lumber in his hand. One thing about Al Holland that you notice tonight, he doesn't quite have the same jewelry that he used to wear. He used to be the gold chain master. Schmitty can't get to it, nor can DeJesus. And Dotson's got himself a leadoff base hit. It is 2-1. The 83 Stars lead the 83 Phillies. And should Al Holland come in and have a quick inning here, the Phillies are hoping to get one last at-bat in the bottom of the fourth. Good crowd arriving early. There you see him to pay tribute. Madlock, a guy that looked like he was en route to the Hall of Fame as well. Back-to-back batting titles in 75 and 76, a three-time All-Star. Hit 305 times. Just over 2,000 hits, 2,008 for Madlock, and a lifetime average of 305. Ended his career 6 years ago with Detroit. Hayes will take it himself for the first out of the fourth. And here's the man that really fueled the championship for Philadelphia. The championship of the National League. The LCS MVP, Gary Matthews. That the home run in Game 4, which led the way to the Phillies winning it. Just found out that the Sarge hit Steve Yeager on the backswing. I always thought he was saying something nasty to Yeager when he hit that home run, but he was asking if he was okay. What a gentleman, Chris.
Yeah, it was nice of him to ask Steve Yeager if he was okay. Gary just asked me if we're on live.
Yep.
We're on live, so give me your good act right now, all right? Are you having fun tonight?
I'm having a lot of fun. It's interesting. I haven't seen a lot of these guys since 1983. Some of the pitchers that were running me then, I'll be doggone it, they ran me again 10 years later.
I saw your number out there a couple of times.
Unbelievable. God, I tell you. And I thought I was in a halfway decent shape out here, but we're having a lot of fun. It's for a great, great cause again. And Upper Deck, along with that, and giving money to some of the players that are down on their luck. This is really what it's all about. And the camaraderie that we have here with the players, it just seems will never go away.
This team that's back here tonight, this 83 club of yours, they're some of the best shaped players we've ever seen in one of these balls. It looks like these guys are taking care of themselves, you included, of course.
Yeah, of course. No, I think that really a lot of guys are in really good shape, and I think a lot has to do with just the way our whole society is right now. Everybody's very health conscious and really don't want to gain a lot of weight, bad for your heart, but they're in tremendous shape, surprisingly so.
You're going to get any more ABs, and I know how you hate to hit.
No, I'm going to probably come on up in the booth. I heard talk that you guys are looking for some announcers and some guys that can really tell it the way it is, so I might come up there and visit you guys a little bit.
You did a great job the other night. Thank you.
Thank you. Phillies are playing really good this year. Again, it's been 10 years since they won. I'm wishing them really good luck. It's still a long ways to go, but you seem to have a great ball club here. The fans are coming out. It's very indicative of the play that they're having here. And congratulations to Bill Giles and the Philadelphia Phillies.
Thanks, Sergeant. Gary told me to tell you you're not going to take his job up in the booth.
Well, I wasn't thinking of Gary's job. I've been doing a lot of play-by-play, haven't you heard?
Thanks for coming by. I'll see you later.
Okay, Chris. Thank you.
Back to you, Larry.
Oh, my. Well, check out the closer on the hill. And those of you that check us out on Sports Channel have heard the wit and wisdom of the reed-thin Kent Colby, who will come in and try to close it out. Pitched in 1,050 games, every single one of them during his 16-year career in relief. Floyd Wilhelm pitched in 1,070. Teak, the Submariner, we always said that motion was so easy on the arm. And it looks like he can still get out there and pick a corner. He'll give you the inside corner, he'll give you the outside corner, but you've got to figure out which one on any given pitch. Protecting a one-run lead is Teak. And we'll see the stick man. Check out the crowd reaction now for one Von Hayes. What do you say, about 60-40? Hayes was in the major leagues in the American League of California a year ago. Still hoping to get back to it. Ford can't get it. And Vaughn, we remember that loping style. One-time leader in the National League in doubles in the late 80s. Here's a look at that swing modeled after Ted Williams. So Hayes represents the tying run for Michael Jack. We would appreciate the poetic irony of a two-run Schmitty home run right here off Teak. He's going to pitch around him a little bit. Schmitty going to move the runner in a tie ball game. Takes a pop at Bill Madlock down the first base line, getting the stare from the Mad Dog. Pass Boa. Hayes will score. As Schmidt gives the crowd much of what they wanted to see. An RBI base hit. He's looking for a pinch runner. Michael Jack learned this swing late in his career. Stay back with the hands high and drive it up the middle. As Schmidt has put on Matlock's glove and he's playing first, and the Mad Dogs, Teak doesn't know where to throw the ball. Mitch Williams comes out to the top step and volunteers to pitch run 2. That's a foul ball. They did switch back once Ozzie took a swing. Got a tie ball game. The 1983 Phillies against the 83 All-Stars, the Upper Deck Heroes of Baseball game, to help support the baseball assistance team. Up the middle, Boa will go to second to get the hustling Schmidt. That's out number 1. Boa reminding him sliding would be appreciated. Schmidt didn't hear 10 years worth of that from Larry Boa. Here's one of the all-time great pinch hitters in baseball history, Greg Gross, who is still 3rd on the all-time pinch hit list with 143. Also up the middle, past Boa, Virgil will stop there, and Gigi a little base hit. So the ball game's at second base for Tony Perez. You got to think that Perez would wind up being a member of baseball's Hall of Fame. One of the top 20 all-time RBI men. Still likes to take that vicious hack. Looking at Teak. Teak can't pitch without that chaw on his cheek. Rick, base hit. Virgil will round third. There's no coach, but he'll hold there. As Hendrick hits his cutoff man, and they're loaded on the base hit by Tony Perez. So Kent Jacoby getting lit up will face Kiko Garcia. Bo's got it. Will come to the plate. Got it there. Way to go, Bo. Even with the infield back and Virgil running like the catcher, Boa comes to the plate. So it is Gross on third, Perez on second, Garcia on first for Ivan De Jesus. Ivan just turned 40 a couple of months ago. That's a career that lasted from 74 to 88. Remember, the Phils and the Florida Marlins game 3 of the weekend set will follow. That's foul. Just past the chin of Greg Gross. So Teek's got him where he wants him, 2 outs and 2 strikes. Count is full. The runners will be moving, so to speak. Ball 4. We play 5 or 6 or 7 in these Heroes games. Gary Lee Maddox, all dressed and ready for work. He'll be joining us for the middle innings this evening. There's your count. It's 4-2 on DeJesus.
As the starting shortstop in 1983, he's trying to win the game right here.
Make it 5-2. Like these rules.
It's 4-3.
That is smoke. Jay Johnstone will never get to that one. Greg Gross will score. Ivan DeJesus, the game-winning hit. And Philly fans are happy. The 1983 Philadelphia Phillies have defeated the Upper Deck Heroes of 1983. Kent Jacoby will take the loss. The final score is 3-2. That's what it's all about, sharing the camaraderie, saying hello, and giving all of us a chance to relive some of the finest moments in Phillies history. Once again, on a 5-2 count, up in the strike zone, DeJesus levels off about 30 feet past the head of Jay Johnstone, who will not even try. Short hops the wall. Greg Gross scores, and the 83 Phillies win one more time. Final score of 3-2. 83 Phils with 3 runs, 9 hits, no errors. The 83 Heroes, 2 runs, 6 hits, no errors. And the familiar tip of the cap from the Pope, Paul Owens, back in uniform one more time. It will be Terry Mulholland versus Jack Armstrong coming up in just about a half hour, as the Phillies will meet the Florida Marlins, game 3 of this weekend series. Chris Wheeler down on the field, as is Jay Johnstone, who will be coming along in just a moment with his impressions of this one. And let's go down to Chris Wheeler on the field. Chris.
Okay, Larry, that was really a lot of fun tonight. That was a heck of an old-timers game, or an Upper Deck Heroes of baseball game. My colleague Jay Johnstone has just arrived over here. We're going to talk in a few minutes. He's got his hat on a little strange, but who'd know? You know, I mean, it looks about the same. Everybody I talked to tonight, Larry, both on the air and off the air, said how much fun they had in this game, and what a great time it was, and how much they enjoyed being back here in Philadelphia, and finally playing in one of these ball games, and and how much they enjoyed 1983 and what a good time it was. Although you heard Ron Reed say he didn't remember it, that he was 9-1. So it was a lot of fun being down here tonight, and the guys had a really good time. So back to you, Larry.
All right, we'll be back to you and Jay to talk about our ball game in a moment. Stay tuned. Phillies pregame coming up live from Veterans Stadium in just a moment. Ball game. It's a game that generates $2.6 million to help needy former players and coaches. Not everyone retired with a multi-million-dollar lifestyle, but this one was won by the Philadelphia Phillies. I don't know if it was scripted that way, but Kent Jacoby seemed to serve up a couple and get the 83 Phillies the runs they needed to win it. We'll look at the 4th inning action. The Phillies were trailing by a score of 3-2 when Mike Schmidt showed his little base hit swing, didn't take the home run ball, got it past the former teammate Larry Boa, drives in the tying run in the person of Von Hayes, and tied the game at 3 apiece. All this coming off Kent Jacoby. And then with the game on the line, a 5-2 count, as T couldn't throw a strike, and Ivan DeJesus drilled one. I don't know, Jay Johnstone maybe 10 years ago would have had that ball. These days, Jay just turns around and heads for the broadcast booth. Jay Johnstone standing by with a special guest down the field. Jay, how the legs feeling, buddy?
Hey. Hi, how you guys doing? This is fun. Oh, I didn't know you were here. Hi, Ozzy. I got a special guest. How was it like to come back and play here in the vet after being away for so many years?
Well, I've coming back and seeing everybody is it's a lot of fun, and getting to see what everybody's doing and everything. And I was surprised in what kind of shape everybody was in. It was like we were playing out there, having a good time, like it was the old days.
No, you're right. A lot of guys came back in pretty good shape. Some of these old-timer games, I've been to a few guys that put on a few excess pounds, but I looked at that Philly lineup, and you guys look like you'd go ready to go 9 innings again.
It seems seemed like everybody was in playing shape. You know, their weight was all down, and they were hitting the ball, throwing the ball all right. It seemed like everybody had the tools, not quite the same as used to be, but they were still there.
Have you followed the Phillies at all this year?
Yes, I have a little bit. At the beginning of the year, I was following them a little bit more, but now, you know, they're starting to do a lot better. I'm still following them, but I went through a period there where I was involved with the Little League, and so I just got away from the Major League stuff and was concentrating more on Little League, and now Little League's over, so I'm going to get back to find out who's where.
Well, you look at the Phillies pitchers now, Schilling, Mulholland, Green, Rivera, Jackson, and then you look at the Phillies pitchers that were on your team. You see any comparison?
Well, I think the pitching they have right here, right now, these guys, a lot of them, they've gotten it from different organizations, and they seem like they're all trying to prove something. They've gotten like a lot of these guys from, I call it the renegade team. They're from all over.
All right, Ozzie Virgil, thanks for being our guest. Ozzie Virgil, our guest, and Larry, we're going to throw it back to you. I've got to get out of this nice wet uniform because I had a ball out there tonight.
All right, thanks, Jay Johnstone. The St. Louis Cardinals are keeping the pressure on the Philadelphia Phillies. We'll look at afternoon baseball coming up in just a moment, live from Veterans Stadium. The Veterans Stadium awaiting the Florida Marlins and Philadelphia Phillies. Terry Mulholland against Jack Armstrong coming up in just a couple of moments, live from Veterans Stadium. This afternoon, though, the St. Louis Cardinals try to keep the pressure on the Phillies. They were out at Wrigley Field, high atop the high tops, and in the first inning, 3 runs for the St. Louis Cardinals would come courtesy of Mark Witten's round tripper off Jose Guzman. That one winds up out on Sheffield Avenue. His 9th, St. Louis took a 3-0 lead, but in the home first, Chicago would come back. 2 on in trouble for Donovan Osborne. The lefty to Mark Grace goes the other way with authority. 1 hop, way out of here. His 6th home run of the season, a 3-1 blow. He's now got 51 RBIs. Grace 3 for 3. Getting cooled off. In the top of the 4th, though, the Cards would go up 4-3, courtesy of Geronimo Pena, who went down and got a low pitch and golfed it out to the screen. His 2nd home run of the year. Here's a twist. Ozzie Smith, known for the leather, is robbed himself. Sammy Sosa looking like Gary Maddox in the 5th inning with a diving catch. But it's the Cardinals that prevail. Lee Smith comes in to shut the door, striking out Jose Vizcaína, save number 22, 6-4 the final. Here's the scores in the National League. Jeffries goes 4 for 5, as noted, a 22nd save for Lee Smith. The only afternoon game just underway. New York wins. Matt Noakes, a pair of home runs. The Twins have now lost all 6 games to the Yankees this year. John